future trends, deep insights, industry leaders. This is the iGaming Next podcast with your host, Pierre Lindh.
Nico, it's a bit more tired today, to be fair with you, because we've had a long week here leading up to this, or what do you say?
Yeah. It has been a quite demanding week, right? We just need to get into the being at an exhibition once again, right? So usually if you just think about the ICE week, which is a full week, or like the iGaming Next, right? After the first day, it was like so demanding. You felt so tired. And I just can't imagine how we can survive actually a week in London. But we will just get there.
Yeah, it's a miracle that we are here today, Nico, to be fair with you. And I can tell you it's the first and hopefully the last time I'm doing this hangover. So let's see how this goes today. We'll have a nice, comfortable chat and wrap up of what's been in the industry the last week. But it's been a fantastic week in general. I mean, and from industry perspective, a lot of things that happen, like always. I mean, but first of all, like, how was your Sigma experience? It's nice to see you in person, of course, and
exactly,
do this.
Exactly. It's the first time that I'm actually here, right, where the magic happens, where the iGaming Next magic literally
in the Maltese jungle,
literally happens. So it's nice. Thanks for having me. And Sigma was nice. You know, you can meet and greet the people in person, and the most important thing is you are introduced to people who actually can help out with stuff. And this is because our industry is so small. Yeah, you don't have a lot of decision makers in the industry, and as soon as you know a couple of them, right, they just introduce you to each other, because in the end we're all facing the same problems. Legal things, etc., entering a market, rumors are floating around, and the good thing about an exhibition is you can actually talk about rumors and see if they're true or not, and that has just been awesome here at Sigma.
It's been a fantastic week for us as well. Overall, great to see the industry gathered again. Everyone's having a great time, and even a little bit too good time even at this conference. The official party was raided by the police. Too many people at the event, breaching COVID restrictions, and they came out all these videos with flashing police lights and having to empty the place and so on. So I guess an event of this magnitude of size should have a little bit controversy, I think.
Yeah. True. But fingers crossed, we will just get a little bit back to normal, because the videos that have been published, I've never seen any of those videos being taken by any of the crazy stuff which all of us have seen, right? So it's like, okay, just get a little bit back to normal. That would be nice.
I think so as well. After this week, we'll have a nice roll down the blinds at home and just kind of decompress from all the crazy things that have happened, I think. So Nico, what do we have in front of us today?
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to talk a little bit about Catena Media and Better Collective. I'm pretty sure you are really familiar with that topic. Had been rumors going around for quite a long time, but it seems like actions have been unofficially been taken. So what are your thoughts about this?
Catena and there's some really interesting synergies happening here in between Catena and Better Collective. It's kind of like it's like a fight brewing between these two massive affiliates, and both of them are seeing North America as the big opportunity. Catena Media talks a lot about this in their quarterly reports in the last year, that they want to they showcase how much they are growing in the North American market, and how much of the total group revenue comes from North America. I think I think a majority of Catena Media's revenue now derives from North America. And obviously there is a massive potential in that market, and Catena Media talks a lot about this in the quarterly reports. But it's also increasing the risk profile in the company by being so heavy, leaning so heavily towards only one market that is still unproven, right? But in any case, Catena's share price have been aggressively ticking upwards this year until the Q2 report came out in June, which was quite disappointing. I think investors didn't realize the seasonality and US sports, and so the share price of the Q2 report it tumbled. I think they lost something like 40% share value between Q2 and Q3, basically. And during this time, when the share price tumbled, there's been a lot of rumors that Better Collective have been trying to acquire Catena Media, and at a quite good premium as well. The rumors are that Better Collective have been trying to acquire Catena at a premium of more than 50% of the share price. But board of directors have basically shut this proposal down, and Catena Media are still kind of taking ownership of their own destiny, let's say. But I think the writing is somewhat on the wall, that Better Collective, even though Better Collective still has a lower EBITDA than Catena Media, I think the market cap of Better Collective is a lot higher than Catena Media's is. And this alludes to the future of Better Collective. They are aggressively growing their revenue much faster than Catena Media. And investors seems to believe that Better Collective are doing a better job, essentially, to acquire players for their customers. So I'm sure that this is not the final word in this story, and you would imagine that Catena Media would be a great feather in the cap for Better Collective as an acquisition target as we move forward. So it's quite interesting to follow, I think.
Yeah, should we zoom into the promised land of the United States?
Yes.
A little bit. Yeah, great. So there have been numbers being reported from New Jersey, right? So for October, and just touching down on what you've just said, the seasonality of the literally the numbers, right? Yeah. So with NFL madness happening all over the place, if you just remember that last week the 9 runner-ups for the New York State sports betting licenses had been announced, and they are specifically aiming to go live pre-or the Super Bowl. So this is the overall biggest event for sports betting companies to aim for. So what has been reported, the October numbers for New Jersey, and the reported numbers are just madness all over the place. So they smashed every record. Within 1 month, they did a handle of $1.3 billion. And this just shows that the promised land, and that's why specifically a lot of European companies are either merging to get a better footstep, or kind of massively investing into marketing as well. So what are your thoughts about the numbers which have just been reported from New Jersey?
Yeah, I think, Nico, obviously it solidifies the future of the American opportunity here, the North American opportunity, and it goes to show as well that the expectations on this market is still living up to, or the results are still living up to the expectations of the market, of course. And for every quarter we see new numbers, and like you mentioned, there is seasonality in the revenue. So sometimes you can see a bit disappointing numbers from the US market, but then, like what happened now, New Jersey, record numbers, the market is very healthy, and it's just really interesting to follow in general, I think, the North American market. Yeah.
And what's so crazy, last week we talked about the Q3 numbers of DraftKings. As of now, they have a loss, accumulated loss just for 2021, $1.2 billion. Yeah. But we've also seen quite an interesting thing, that 75 of the overall GGR of the US market is shared in between 2.5 operators. You know, you have the FanDuel who gain roughly 36%, then you have the DraftKings with 26%, and the rest is by BetMGM, and I consider them as 2.5 because BetMGM and DraftKings, they are quite close to each other, right? With Caesars. So there you can just see that these crazy numbers, you just need to spend a lot of money actually to enter the market. And as said, it's just 3 operators. So any familiar names missing on the kind of list, Pierre?
Yeah, I mean, it was great, the graph that you showed, Nico. And what's interesting, as you're saying, let's just repeat this because it's very interesting. Like I think it's 76% of the total GGR in the North American market comes from 3 operators, right? DraftKings, Flutter, MGM. And it just solidifies this story of the North American market being a market for the big players. That is what is happening right now. Now, that doesn't mean that it's always have to be like that, right? Eventually the market will mature, and perhaps the smaller players will kind of find their feet in the market. But right now, I mean, look at on the European side, Bet365, obviously a massive in Europe. They only have 0.4% of the GGR sports betting in the last quarter in the North American market. That must be a massive failure for them. The Kindred, for example, is not even visible in the graph. And so again, it goes to show that right now the American market is for the big boys only. But what do you think, Nico? How will this develop as we go into the future, do you think?
Yeah, so first of all, the demand for money to actually, get into the market is just crazy. Just imagine, when we talked about the Q3 numbers of DraftKings, they actually spent double the size on marketing than they get on revenue, and this just showcases how big the literally promise of this market is. And as said, it's in the end, it's just crazy numbers and crazy expectations. So what will happen if one of those expectations is not reachable or not visible as soon as the lifetime value of a player, which they estimate with, if I'm not wrong, $4,500 or $6,000. This is just crazy numbers. Insane, It's insane. So we've never seen, and we're just talking about sports betting. It's not a casino player, right? It's just sports betting. So as soon as these numbers will get down a little bit, as you cannot keep up with the pace of the overall promises, right? Long story short, if you just set the overall percentage of gaming versus GDP, if I'm not wrong, because this is what Robert from Hölle Games just kind of calculated. The gaming towards GDP percentage is at least double or triple the size like you have in a well-known market like we have in Germany or the UK. So this is just something which I'm pretty sure the bubble will burst at some time, and it will just become a more mature market, who will then, of course, still be great, still be big in size. But if they can, I'm pretty sure they can't keep up with the expectations.
Yeah, I had some super interesting conversations here in the week now with people from DraftKings and others. And I asked them about the future of DraftKings. It's so difficult to put a value on this company, and something that's being pointed out is like you should not look at DraftKings value and future prospects based on the services they offer today. What DraftKings are looking to do is they want to become the Amazon of online gambling, and what that means is they don't just want to offer you a sports betting or casino or whatnot. They will have a consortium of different products that goes under the DraftKings brand, and it kind of makes sense, the target group that they are marketing towards are not only interested in sports betting or casino, for example, but DraftKings have launched an NFT marketplace, for example, Now, that is completely outside of the scope of online gambling, but it speaks to their target audience, right? And as we go into next year, we'll start seeing DraftKings launching other products. And so what they're trying to do is they are paying all this money to build a database right now, but they will leverage that database not only for sports betting, but for other products as well. So if you have a customer who is doing sports betting and also active on the NFT marketplace, and they'll launch other products as well, then all of a sudden the prospect start making more sense. You know, the pitch for why DraftKings is the future. Yeah. I don't know what do you think?
Yeah, so quite another interesting number is how you actually measure the success which you have in one specific market or one specific state. So what DraftKings actually reports and does is how long it took them to onboard 100,000 first depositors, right? FTDs. And when they started with the sports betting offerings, right, it took them roughly 300 days. With the last market being opened up, it took them 17 days to get 100,000 FTDs.
Yeah.
So, and we're not yet speaking about New York. So as soon as New York will just open up, I'm pretty sure they will just smash this 100,000 FTD number. And this just indicates how crazy or desperately all the people are actually looking towards actually being able to finally place a bet using the DraftKings end as well. And what's interesting, if you have a look at the overall portfolio of one company. First of all, just have a look at all the companies usually based in Europe, where it's the literally home country of sports betting, right? Heading over to the US, and then the overall paradigm shift, which we already discussed a couple of days. This is something we see. Right. First of all, it was always like this kind of shady business. You don't want to be involved in this one. So the overall kind of perception changed as soon as daily fantasy sports started with the FanDuel and DraftKings. And now getting into the sports betting, the overall industry becomes a target for also other companies who are specifically eyeing on the sports betting to extend their portfolio, to add another vertical to the existing user base. Last week we talked about Disney, which is an ongoing rumor. In the end, it's not a rumor. If your CEO, gives out a press release and tells, okay, we are aggressively eyeing on the sports betting industry, it's not a rumor anymore. But Twitter obviously are also eyeing on the sports betting market as well. And I know that you did some preparations on the Twitter as well. So can you just walk us through this a little bit? I
mean, I love this topic because it's the paradigm shift that we've been talking about for almost a year now. And that Todd Haushalter predicted. He foresee this. Our very own mystic Todd. He foresaw this in 2019 that this paradigm shift would happen when no one realized it at all. And that is the fact that the household brands, the mainstream media houses, are now entering the mix. And you mentioned Disney here, of course. And in this week, Twitter are now starting to talk about how they can leverage the fact that sports betting is now becoming a mainstream thing and culturally okay in the US and so on. It doesn't seem to have this stigma attached to it anymore. And this is what the Disney CEO talked about as well. They've done deep research into how would the Disney brand be affected if they were going to sports betting? Will there be stigma attached to the Disney brand? And I think traditionally the answer has been yes. You don't want to touch casino and you don't want to touch sports betting because it's detrimental to the image of the brand. Well, it turns out that is not the case, according to Disney CEO. They've done thorough research and they believe that this is not going to negatively impact their brand. Now Twitter is saying the same thing. Twitter is saying, look at our platform. It's made for sports betting, they're saying. Why? Because Twitter by nature is like a very current and live and in the moment types of social media. Not like LinkedIn, you post something and it's active for 3 days. Twitter is you make a tweet then and there. Like what you see on the TV in that very moment is what you comment on Twitter, and it's very lively conversations. And so what Twitter is saying is, what a perfect platform we have to leverage sports betting, and perhaps to partner with someone within the sports betting world in order to potentially offer sports betting services on Twitter in the platform. Like we are talking about a new type of betting and a new type of betting service that will look different from what we are used to. You know, and this is what Disney as well will offer in ESPN Plus. Like the betting experience will be different from what we are used to, and it may be the case that the type of product they will be launching, it doesn't even feel like you're gambling. You know, it's like it's more very intuitive and seamless experience, and so. So you know, every week we are adding a mainstream brand, and now we have come to the point of Twitter is now talking about this. So it will be really interesting to follow up. What's your thoughts in general, Nico? Where is this heading? Like,
so the thing is, I was attending one of those panels during Sigma, right? Yeah. When the panel just agreed on the M&A activity within our industry is done, right? We won't see further big deals.
Okay.
The kind of William Hill sale, that's the biggest deal, right? And then it's like, okay, maybe we will see someone buying Entain as well, right?
DraftKings,
right? But the thing is, it becomes a different ball game now. We've just we just touched the surface, to be honest, right? Because we have big tech companies. Like we are all waiting for the Apple car, right? Which we do. I don't think that Apple will enter the sports betting market. Why should they, right? They won't. But Disney specifically eyeing either for partnering up with someone, or they have so deep pockets they can easily just buy a brand, right? 2 billion, okay, they don't care, right? In the long run, it will pay out. But what will happen if Amazon just decides, okay, we started with selling books, now we kind of added further stuff which can be sold. Now we are also providing services. They have all the user database across the globe, right?
Yeah.
And they have deep pockets as well. So as soon as they decide, okay, we will just add one more vertical to our existing offerings, and then it's possibly just sports betting, and then it becomes a different ballgame. And from now on, and mark my words, right, there will be even bigger companies eyeing towards the gaming industry.
Absolutely.
So it's just the start of the big acquisitions that we've seen.
And it begs the question, like, it's interesting to think about what companies could be acquisition targets now. So obviously Disney is looking into the space, Twitter is looking into the space. You would imagine that they would look to acquire a sportsbook provider, for example, like a Kambi or something along those lines. Maybe they'll acquire an operator instead, or they just go for the suppliers instead. Like I would consider Kambi to be an acquisition target for some of these media houses looking into sports betting specifically, especially now that Kambi is a bit they're on a discount at the moment as well. They obviously lost DraftKings now, who migrated over to SPTech, and DraftKings Kambi's share price have tumbled like 40% or something along those lines. And so yeah, you know, they're at a discount, and obviously the future is not secure for Kambi. They are moving in very difficult waters at the moment with the tier 1 operators in the US going proprietary, and this is big discussion around proprietary solutions and vertical integrations. And so you would imagine that if a Disney or if a Twitter would come knocking on the door, that the likes of Kambi would definitely open it, let's say, and have a discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. It's just as said, it ain't over the M&A game. Yeah. Right, we just see even existing companies filling up their pockets, like Better Collective already did, PaySafe did, with their IPO at the New York Stock Exchange, etc. And one more thing which we've seen is Sportradar, right? They just IPO'd a couple of weeks ago. They are reporting huge numbers to actually underline their actual share price, which now has gone up again. And they just signed a 10-year deal with the NBA as well. So you also see the big sports leagues now exclusively signing up companies. So what has happened? They have an existing 5-year deal, which will end at the season 22-23. So from 23-24, the new 10-year, and now it's an exclusive deal to actually offer the sports betting related data. So as of now, the powerhouse of Sportradar, as long as you want to offer sports betting on NBA or WNBA, which is the women division, you need to take the data or buy the data from Sportradar, right? They have a monopoly. Pretty simple. Long story short, cutting a long story short, they exclusively will be able from the season 23-24 to offer data sports betting related to all the customers. And this is where the overall ball game actually might lead to, right? And we discussed this over and over again, that it's all about content. Where does the content actually come from? It's coming from the underlying sports event, and whoever has access to these kind of leagues will be able to exclusively distribute this this data, and this is just crazy.
No, I'm listening with curiosity here, Nico. It's really interesting, the dynamics, and again, it's like it feels very much that the winners and losers are being decided right now, like in these strategic partnerships that are forming, are setting up these companies that will be successful for the future, and others will be left behind. That's just the feeling I'm getting at the moment. And like I said, we were seeing Bet365 having a really hard time establishing themselves in the US with these low GGR numbers on the sports betting side, and then at the same time we're seeing these strategic partnerships where like Sportradar setting themselves up for the future. The likes of DraftKings setting partnership of the partnership with sports leagues and so on in order to offer official betting, endorse betting from this side. So it's all happening now. We're in a fantastic period for the industry right now.
Indeed we are. And when there's a lot of sun, there's also a little bit of dark as well, right? So, and there something has happened also in the US related market as well. Can you walk us through the little bit of shadow what has happened within this week?
I mean, we can't do a weekly wrap up, Nico, without mentioning evolution. Right? Okay. that's just a law of nature, of podcast nature. Evolution, obviously they have more or less a monopoly in the US. And earlier in the week there was a anonymous competitor, US based. Okay, so it's not most likely not like Pragmatic or anyone like that. It's a US based competitor who have filed a lawsuit against Evolution, claiming that they have been accepting players from Syria and Iran, breaching US sanctions. And the moment a press release goes out that mentions Iran, sanctions, US, and then your company name, like your company and your share price is in trouble. And so the markets reacted very negatively on this story, of course, with a 12% drop in share price on this press release. But the thing is, Evolution is not an operator. Evolution is a content supplier. And so I think the aftermath of this press release is the first reaction is, investors panicked, basically. Panic sold, share price went out 12%. And then I think investors started to realize that, wait a minute, like Evolution doesn't offer games directly to players. They offer games to the operators who then offers the games to the players. And so it seemed, I'm not a lawyer or anything like this, but it seems very much that this was more or less a hit piece or whatnot against Evolution. And since those couple of days have passed, the share price have more or less recovered now. So they are down something like 2% of the week or something along those lines at the time of this recording. And And so I reached out to Todd to ask him about this as well. What was his reaction? And he just kind of shook his head and said, while I'm trying to make the best possible games, like others are just trying to interrupt us by doing these hit pieces, in his opinion. And we spoke to some other guys as well, and they told Todd like listen, this is what happens when you are the best. People start trying to attack you, take you down, rather than focusing on their own products, perhaps. Now, to me, the interesting question is, who is the anonymous competitor? That would be very interesting to find out. There aren't that many US-based competitors to Playtech. Don't want to speculate, but it's the likes of Scientific Games, for example. Aristocrat trying to acquire Playtech, of course, and a couple of others. So it'll be very interesting to see if this will emerge, who this anonymous competitor is. What's your take, Nico?
So in the end, this just indicates what a different ball game as of now actually is, right? So you're taking to court, and as soon as these kind of people actually knock your door, you don't get away that easy, right? Then, as you mentioned already, the stock price going down, so it just becomes a totally different ball game, and this will for sure happen to each and every other company. As well. Just remember the Hindenburg report as well, right? So has been released out of a sudden. SB Tech is in trouble, and the overall deal is in question as of now, right? And for sure, maybe we will see something with other bigger operators, even well-known brands in Europe as well, who actively made some money in Asia, right? Which is not pretty much officially in the books. But as soon as you are specifically aiming for the A-League games, right, then you just need to prepare for everything, right? And as Todd mentioned, right, he's just interested in, and this is what you just see and feel as soon as you just listen to him and see his videos. He just wants to provide the best possible product he can possibly deliver. And out of a sudden, he's taking out of his comfort zone by dealing with this kind of things. I'm pretty sure he's not the lawyer being, directly impacted with this.
But it's
kind
a
of
distraction.
It is. It is a disruption, right? And this just shows that, we just need to get along with this kind of stuff as well.
I think as well. What is interesting right now is the share price, the market cap of Evolution is $30+ billion. The biggest market cap of any gambling company for that matter still. And others are taking notes now. Evolution is a quite interesting company because they are a games supplier, but they are very niche. They're offering, they stand and fall on the live casino offering, rather than, for example, Playtech, who offers live casino, RNG. They have a platform, and they have about 10 other services or products, verticals that they make money from. However, Playtech, as we know, their market cap is just a tenth of Evolution. So what's happening now amongst the game studios is like everyone is seeing the market cap of Evolution, and investors in those organizations are pushing them to start their own live products. Right, and just a couple of examples here, of course, is Scientific Games acquiring Authentic Gaming, right? Specifically to start offering live. We've seen Playtech now being courted by Gopher and Aristocrat to be acquired, and actually there's a third bid of Playtech as well. Now I don't have that much information about it, but there's a third bidder for Playtech, and it's just very timely right now. All these games studios wants to do what Evolution is doing. They want to go on that journey, and they can see that this is also the writing is on the wall here as well. For every year that passes, people's devices get more powerful. internet gets faster, and therefore the live experience gets better and better and better, right? So the writing is on the wall in a sense that live is only going to be more and more powerful, the product itself. And also Stake Logic, now we saw at Sigma here, they branded the entire booth Stake Logic Live. They are launching their live studio now as well. Microgaming, who used to offer a live studio, failed, and now are starting a new project that's called On Air Entertainment, led by Andres Regnefo, who used to be one of the directors at Evolution, who then started Netted Live, and who is now starting On Air Entertainment. Massive push by Microgaming into the live environment as well. Pragmatic Games, of course, or Pragmatic Play, of course, are doing their live. And finally as well, this Bombay Studios by our investor Tim Heath, who is pushing live very, very aggressively as well now. One of his main projects is to build Bombay Studios into something of significance. So this is where the investment is flowing right now. And the thing is that it seems like from investor point of view, they're like, this is where you need to pivot. But it's not that easy, right? So NetEnt tried to build the NetEnt Live for years and years and years with massive distribution networks, with great talent behind them and so on. And they weren't able to do it. So what I'm really curious about now is when all these players are now entering the live market, if anyone is going to succeed, and also how long is it going to take for them to build up this infrastructure that is needed in order to offer live games with low latency and no hiccups and so on and so forth. Yeah. What's your take here on the future of live?
As you mentioned, microgaming, for example, they just sold or are about to sell their Quickfire entity as well to Games Global, and this also just indicates that they are literally filling up their pockets, right? To being able to actually enter a specific markets with the live offerings as well, right? So the overall competition is brought to another level, right? Which demands just a lot of money, and we've seen this in other verticals as well, right? Where you just sell one of your company entities to get the money to buy something else, to literally position your troops, right? And this is what microgaming does as well. And I'm pretty sure as live is specifically the next upcoming big market, we will see further casino suppliers either being bought by someone else or selling entities to actually fill their pockets. So as said, the M&A game is for sure and for the long time not over. We've just touched the surface.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what Evolution is going to do here as well. Are they going to continue to acquire themselves and retain this monopoly? Many of these new competitors are forming right now. I mean, you would imagine that there's been discussions within the boardroom if Evolution would put on a bid on Playtech, for example. Although, Playtech is a very big and complex machine, but I'm sure a company like Evolution could streamline it, It would be quite interesting prospect for Evolution to look at. I'm sure that Martin Carlson and Todd and Sebastian and the guys have talked about this, but we'll have to wait and see. I think I have a feeling that we'll see more M&A coming from Evolution as well as we go forward now, because the share price has been standing still for the last 6 months. It's been floating around 1,400 for the last 6 months essentially, and this exponential growth in the organization's share price have stopped now. And I know that they are getting a lot of pressure from investors, what they will do in order to create shareholder value, and dual listing in the United States is on the table, I think, and potentially other M&A activity on the table. They have to do something in order to please the shareholders at this stage. It doesn't seem like the markets are happy enough to see this constant all-time high revenue coming from the quarterly reports. They want something more, I think, and so I would keep an eye on that front now as well. Yeah.
And one thing is for sure, we're just tackling, or always within a weekly wrap-up, just things which have happened within the last week, right? And we never run out of topics, right? It's just like a puzzle where you see, okay, this is something we covered like 2 or 3 months ago. Now it evolves, and as said, within the next weeks, for sure, we will see something which we already see coming somewhere at the horizon, right? Yeah. So there's a little bit of a glimpse, which we already see, but as of now, it's just a rumor.
Yeah.
But as said, within our industry, it never gets boring.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's for sure. And I'm trying as well to get, we have these new players entering the market, like Disney, Twitter, and so on. And I'm trying my best at the moment to see if I can reach out to any of the representatives on these companies. So I messaged the person responsible for gambling or gaming at Twitter. Now, waiting for his reply, reaching out to Disney and so on. It's not the easiest people to get a hold of, but it would be so cool. So cool to be able to have a conversation with them and ask them from their perspective, what is the future of online gambling, and how they see it from their perspective with their platforms that they have, you know?
Yeah, and maybe they will just join live and in person your exhibition in the United States.
Yes, that's the idea. Yeah, Twitter is New York based, you know. Yeah, so we have our exhibition in March, and I invited the guy to come and speak. We'll do whatever it takes to get him there, and fingers crossed for that. That'll be interesting, I think.
That's good. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you say, Nico? Do we have anything on the agenda more today, or shall we start thinking about heading to the beach for a pina colada?
Exactly. Today we can actually go down to the beach and have a couple of pina coladas. I'm pretty sure we just tackled the most interesting topics possible for the last week, and now it's just up going down to the beach for the pina colada.
Yeah. Or to be honest with you, I think it's more like a pina colada hangover cure type type of water that I need to drink today. I'm not going to touch any more drinks ever.
That's good.
Good
approach.
As you always say. But anyway, let's go to the beach and have a smoothie today.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
It's been fantastic to have you here, Nico.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.